like to call up Lieutenant Seidler, who is our divisional commander for court security, and also receiving his, come on up, Steve, Sgt Bill Sekula, who is 20-year recipient.
I'm here to talk about Bill. I've known quite a while. Bill joined the Sheriff's Office at the ripe old age of 19, and he's been here ever since 20 years. He started out in the court security division where we work together presently, and he worked his way up through the communications center, became sergeant. He was the very first sergeant to run security in the hospital at Moore's View. And he went back to the comm center as a sergeant to help things out there. And we needed a lot of, we needed someone that really knew what they were doing for our section of courts, very complex places, a lot of officers do a lot of offshoot things. We need someone that's able to have skills to be able to see what needs to be done and get it done, and that's Bill. And he also trained me, which, if you know me, is not easy, because he got my patience, but he's still training me. But he keeps things together, and one thing I like to say, in an era of where sometimes government workers, in my opinion, often get a bad rap. If the citizens or in any other government worker meet Bill Sekula, they get a real sense of pride because he has an amazing amount of integrity and always a can-do attitude, like nothing that could be believed. So he's an incredible asset for not just citizens, the Sheriff's Office, but I think the county as well. And I'm real proud to say that he works with me, and you know, I'm sure he'll have another good years as he goes up the ranks.
I'd like to call up Lieutenant Ackerman, Division Commander for Emergency Services Unit and Legal Process, and also 25-year recipient Larry Wasdyke, who is retiring at the end of this month.
I appreciate Larry coming today because if anyone knows Larry, being up in front of a group, getting recognized is just not his thing. A fellow Leo, he would just as soon be out on the road or doing something else other than being here today, but he came in and I really do appreciate it. I took a peek in Larry's file just to get some history as to where he was working before I got to know him, before I came here. And I gotta tell you, he bounced around a little bit more than I remember. Larry's worked originally in our Protective Services Division. He was in our warrant squad. I had forgotten about your time in the photo lab on the second floor of that shed when B&G used to tune up the lawnmowers underneath and all the exhaust would come up. Kind of where the gas pumps are now. Moved around a little bit more and wound up in our Civil Process Unit. And Larry and I started working together 5 years ago. And there's a lot of great people in the Legal Services Division. When I came into this division, it was a whole new job for me. I might as well have quit here and gotten a job on the North Pole somewhere. It was completely different. And Larry was such a big help. His knowledge in the area of the civil process, which is kind of the heart of what we do in the Sheriff's Office, serving the civil papers, arrest warrants, the court security, all those traditional sheriff duties. Larry was a wealth of information and was always helpful. He just can't do enough for us. Always willing to share the workload with his teammates, pick up extra work, never complains. A very quiet guy. Comes in the morning, out on the road, you don't hear a whole lot from him. Comes back and everything's taken care of. He's really a pleasure to work with. A few things in his personnel file that impressed me was when he was offered the job as Sheriff's Officer, the letter he wrote accepting the job said that he would be honored to accept it. However, he couldn't come here as quickly as the department wanted him because he was concerned about giving appropriate notice to his current employer. And that's the kind of guy that Larry is. He always does the right thing. There's another great letter in there from when Larry caught a purse snatcher and had a violent altercation very early in his career with the purse snatcher and arrested him in the Ledgewood Mall. And those types of things you would never hear from Larry. Really enjoyed the time that I spent with Larry, and he's really going to be missed by myself and his teammates, I'm sure of it. Congratulations.
Our next recipient, Patty Bride, who has 20 years on.
Patty is another one of those officers that was a tremendous help to me when I came to legal services. I had known Patty throughout my career just as acquaintances really in the hallway kinds of things and chit-chat a little bit. An animal lover and a dog lover like I am, so we had that kind of in common. But we got to work together when I came into the legal services division. In law enforcement, we're in a business where our successes are private and our failures are public. The amount of successes that Patty has in the execution of her duties in civil process are unbelievable. The work that these officers do is not pleasant. They don't bring anybody good news. They deliver papers that they don't want to have. They evict people from their homes. They deal with child custody issues where they enforce orders from the judge, prying kids from one parent, giving them to another, or from the parents giving them to grandparents, or to diapers and things like that. Our civil process officers are the front lines of that work. They're the ones that are actually out there doing it. And Patty has an amazing ability to connect with people out in the field. She's got countless stories of people that went with the program, so to speak, just because of her influence and her ability to connect with people. Just recently, she talked somebody out through a window. Through a window, she was able to speak with somebody on an eviction that was refusing to come out. It very easily could have turned into something very unpleasant. But just her mannerisms, her demeanor, and her ability to connect with people got that resolved. And she does this every day for us. It's something that's easily missed. Patty, thanks a lot. Really good.
And our next and last is Mike Nunn, 20 years. Also, he's dressed in our combat gear because he's doing CERT training today.
Mike is a guy that I've worked with throughout my career in different capacities, and I've enjoyed all the time that we've spent together. Mike came to us from the Marine Corps as a K-9 handler and came into our K-9 unit. From there, went to our Protective Services Division, and now works with me in our warrant squad. Mike's a comfort to me in the warrant squad because we've worked together. I know where he's coming from. I'll say the same thing that I said about Mike 5 years ago when I stood here for your 15th year, which was just after we started to work together again. I remember so clearly when we worked together in Special Service and when he was in K-9, Mike jumping up out of his chair and saying, "Come on, we're burning daylight, let's go, we're burning daylight, we're burning daylight." And that's always been his mantra, let's go, let's get it done. There's work to be done, let's go get it done. And I appreciate that about Mike. Mike has recently stepped into a leadership role with our Sheriff's Emergency Response Team and has been a tremendous asset there. He's worked with that team for many years, probably since its reformation in the very early 90s, and he's been an integral part of that and in resolving some very, very difficult situations out in the field over the years. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Chief.
Sorry, I have to leave you, Mr. Pernight.